there! If you want to learn how to use your craft cutter, such as a Cricut Maker 3, to cut out pieces for your bags, stay tuned. I'm going to cover it in as much detail as humanly possible. All right, if you look down here, you can see these are all these very small pieces that are normally accent pieces or even measure and cut pieces that you need for bags. Anything from this little D-ring holder to a small hook strap for a backpack. These are strap connectors, zipper overlay. Things like that are just so small and so annoying to cut. If you recall, from when I did the zipper overlay tutorial, I cut this out with scissors and an X-Acto knife. Not entirely something that I enjoy doing, but it is a way that can be done without spending anywhere from $200 to $400 US on a craft cutter tool thing like this. So now that I can feed this into the machine, it takes maybe a minute instead of 10 minutes, whereas that's what it would take me before, because a lot of the pieces were measure and cut. This I had a template for with my pattern. This I didn't, because people kind of complain if you give them a pattern with just rectangles. I don't get it. It's like you can print it or not, but whatever. But the measure and cut pieces right now are kind of annoying, right? So it takes time to get the ruler out and get it right. And you know that something's going to be slanted or not quite the way that it should be. Whereas if you put it into something that cuts in an SVG file format, then it's going to do it much quicker. And I used to kind of scoff at using these kinds of cutters for singular pattern pieces. I don't now, because now I actually have a few patterns in my collection that have multiple tiny pieces like this. I'd rather just get done like that and then move on, and I can cut the larger pieces myself, because most of the larger pieces aren't going to fit on a 12 by 12 grid or even a 12 by 24 grid, which are the two size types that I know the Cricuts take. So moving on to how we actually get from the pattern piece to your vinyl cutter, you need to be able to create an SVG file, or at least bring it into Cricut so you can create a cut file. So that's what I'm going to show you first, because I want to walk through the simplest way that you can do that. That doesn't necessarily require you to own anything outside of the Cricut software. The other thing is I'm going to stick specifically to Cricut because I have a Cricut Maker 3. I do not own a Silhouette, nor do I own a Brother Scan and Cut. If I did own either of those, I would also give you instructions for those, but for this video, we're sticking to Cricut. I hope that some of the information that I present can translate. The first thing I want you to do is to open up your pattern and have it open on your desktop on the page that has the pattern piece that you want to cut with your Cricut. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to open up Snipping tool. This comes installed with Windows 10 at the very least, which means it's probably in 11. This is just what I use. You can also use Greenshot if you want. That's a free application that when you press print screen on your keyboard, you can select. Well, Snipping tool does the same thing, except you kind of have to have it open. So what you'll be doing is only clicking and dragging over the area of your screen that you really want to copy, instead of the whole thing, which is what the default is for print screen. So from the Snipping tool, you're going to click New, and then you're going to select the area of the pattern on this page on your screen that you would like to capture. I am intentionally avoiding the 1-inch printing guide because not all patterns have the printing guide on the page with the piece that you need. And I want to show you how you can take those and combine them so that you have the 1-inch guide available to you when you bring this into Cricut. Otherwise, the Cricut design space is going to blow up the size of the file that you provide it to whatever inches, and it won't be accurate for the pattern. So you're going to left click and drag to select the area. I'm going to drag a little wider to get this space just assuming that I'm gonna need something, you know, somewhere to put the 1-inch guide. I'm gonna lift from the mouse button, and here we have it in the snipping tool. Now his automatically put this on your magical clipboard, which is a digital space where it puts all of the copied data. So when you Control C and you copy text, it goes to your clipboard. If you Control C something else, it replaces that previously copied thing on your clipboard. So you're going to have Paint open, and you're going to do Control V. And Control V is going to paste that in there. You can also click the paste button up here if you need to do that. And we have that there, and that is what we want for that. We're going to go back to our PDF file, and we're going to use the snipping tool again. And you'll be like, well, how can I do that? It's got the image right here. Well, you can just click New, and it will let you do it. So assuming the printing guide is located somewhere else, you can just scroll to that page if you need to in the PDF, but we're going to capture it here. Boop, and there it is. And again, it's on our clipboard. So we're going to go back into Paint, and we're going to do Control V, and it'll put the printing guide in there. And I actually kind of like where it put it. So I'm just going to leave it right there like that. And you can use the cropping tools. I swear to God, to shrink this down so that you don't have as much white space on all ends. And we're going to go to File, and we're going to Save. And we're going to save it as a PNG file. And you see even the desktop, I've already kind of messed up a couple of times. That's fine. We're going to go ahead and we're going to save that as a PNG file to the desktop. One quick note though, if your pattern does not have a 1-inch printing guide, then what you can do to get a sense of what the actual size is go ahead and print it out on your printer at home and measure the widest width and the tallest height area, and get those dimensions, because you'll need those. I'll show you in just a second, but when you do import the image into Cricut Design Space, it will blow it up. It'll be massive, and the scale is absolutely not correct. So just so you know, you will need to have those measurements available if you don't have the printing guide. You can do either, you could do both. Now what we're going to do is we're going to switch over and use Cricut Design Space, import the image, and create a cut file that's to scale and matches the borders of the pattern piece exactly. So here we are in Cricut Design Space. I've removed my camera for this portion because I don't want to accidentally cover anything up. You're going to click on the Upload button from within the canvas. You see I'm in a completely new canvas, a new project. And Upload is located on the toolbar to your left, right here where I'm annoyingly flipping around the little hand. You're going to click Upload, and it's going to take you to this screen. You're going to click Upload Image, and then you're going to browse for your PNG file. Note that you can use other file types with this. It's just kind of, I just stick with PNG because I like it. You're going to browse to where you put that PNG file, and you're going to open it. And you can see the uploaded image here. This is what we had created in Paint. And just to show you again, this is MS Paint, again, free application. And back into Design Space, you're going to select Complex from the options. So you have Simple, Moderately Complex, and Complex. For something like this that's basically black and white, go ahead and just do Complex. It'll be a little easier for us to work with. Click Continue. And for this section, the only thing that you're going to need to do is click on the white space that is outside of your pattern piece. So we're going to click that to get rid of it, and then Apply and Continue. We want to cut, so you're going to select Cut Image on the left-hand side. You can give it a name, and so I will as Part Cat Unreleased Pocket Top. I'm just giving it names. I'm going to put it in Pattern Cuts and Upload. And then we have our image right there. It looks so binary. So we're going to click on that and we're going to add it to our canvas. Dun, dun, dun. So now you have this, and like I said, it is almost 17 inches tall. That is not correct. I can tell you for a facto that is absolutely wrong. If you want, you can actually look at the 1 inch guide, which is this portion here. And it is sitting there at a whopping 2 inches plus some change. So the way to scale that down is to just click on one of the corners in the bottom right or opposite and just scale it down. It might actually be easier to shove this all the way over to the side so you can keep track of it, because it seems like it's kind of scaling it a little oddly, but we're going to keep scaling it until we get that 1 inch in just the right spot. It might actually be better to kind of start zooming in a bit as well. So I'm going to do that and just a little more. And again, if you know the actual size that you need, it's probably easier to just type in the width and the height up here. I'm eyeballing it because it's not always the easiest thing to do. It also probably would have been easier if I had flushed this all the way to the left with the pattern piece. But, you know, hindsight. So there we go. That's pretty much the 1 inch. And I can tell you that my pattern is actually sized correctly at this point. So you have everything scaled, but now you have that little 1 inch mark on there. And you're like, what the heck is that about? I don't want to cut out a tiny 1 inch square. I mean, if we're trying to save on something like a custom vinyl, that actually means quite a bit to us. So the way you can fix that is with contouring. And I don't mean makeup, because I don't know how to do that yet, obviously. It's kind of a hard feature to find, but if you select your object, which you'll know you've selected because all of this stuff shows up, and you go over to the layers list, and you can see it's selected, go wee all the way down to the bottom, and you see contour. And you're like, what's that? Because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But if you open it up, you can see that it actually figures out where your pieces are, and you can click to hide to kind of remove things or show them, or just do this over and over again and make techno music like boots and cats and boots and cats. And then you can close it. So then that's how you would get rid of the little 1 inch guide after you've basically created the correct scale. So now you have a perfectly scaled, ready to go file for cut on your Cricut. But remember when I told you how I kind of found it to be a little useless to do that for just one pattern piece? Well, for these little pattern pieces where you could kind of slam a bunch of them all on the same 12 inch by 12 inch grid, then let's do that. Let's take the bottom half of this pocket and go through the routine all over again so that we can then have a better scaled version or a cuttable version of both the top and the bottom of this particular pocket pattern. Kind of nice to be able to show you this, because now we're going to go through and we're going to review everything that we did before, only slightly faster and with less repeating of everything I've said in the past. You're going to scroll down to the pattern piece that you want. It's going to go ahead and capture the 1 inch printing guide. That's fine. We're just going to leave it as is. We're going to go to the snip tool, move that out of the way, and we're going to click new and select everything that we want. Ta-da! In the snipping tool, since I have everything I want, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to File and Save As. I'm going to save capture2.png to my desktop. And then I'm going to go into Cricut Design Space, Upload, Upload Image, and Browse. I'm going to go and I'm going to pull in the file, which is capture2.png, and I'm going to open it up. From here, I will select Complex, Continue. I'm going to select the part that I do not give a hootenanny about, which is all of the exterior region there. And I'm going to hit Apply and Continue. I'm going to select Cut Image. give it a fancy name, ish, I think. Pocket bottom. File it away and upload. And now I have this weird looking photo. I'm going to select that weird looking photo and I'm going to add it to my canvas. Oh my goodness, that's huge. I've seen bigger, but this is pretty, this takes the cake. I'm going to kind of get it to some sort of reasonable scale here, and I'm going to kind of line it up. If I want here, let's see, Y0, we're just going to shrink it until that 1 inch square fits squarely in the space here. Make sure the object is still selected, then go down to contour and hide the little 1 inch guide, and then close that so you don't have the little, just showing you that that is actually just a thing. So now you don't have the 1 inch guide in the way, and we're gonna arrange these not so they're like right on top of each other, of course, but to minimize the amount of cutting that you would have to do, or rather to minimize the distance and then also the waste of materials. Just get it as close as you can, but not too close. If you get it too close, then they may overlap a bit too much, and that's how you would basically arrange these things. I have a couple more pieces that I do want to put on here for the portion that would actually be like the lining, but for the purposes of this video, we now have this set up the way that we want. You're probably going to want to save this so that you can see it again. So you're going to click Save up in the top right corner. Sorry, I kind of bum rushed through that. I usually save it to a folder and I give it a fancy title. So I'm going to call this Exterior 3D Pocket FKS Part Cat, to be announced at some point this year. Save. Dun, da, da, da. So I've saved that just because I would like to right now. So here's the problem. So this is for the exterior fabric. And this is basically what I would be cutting out for, at least in my case, vinyl. So I'm going to select all. And then one of the things you want to do, because otherwise when you go to cut this, it's going to auto arrange. I don't want it arranging this in any other way than I have set it up to be. Just so I can clarify, if you don't attach these objects together in some way programmatically using the Cricut design space, when you go to cut, to actually make the object, it'll kind of put it where it wants to, where it thinks it's optimal, but it really isn't optimal. So I'm going to show you how to correct that, because I had to look that up a lot. So back over to the desktop view. You select all of your objects that you want together so you don't lose the arrangement, and go down to the bottom and click Attach. Ta-da! And all that does is it kind of merges it as a single object as far as it is concerned. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save. So I have those changes. I'm going to get rid of the advertisement at the bottom. But in the upper right, I'm going to click Make It. Booyah! So now we can see that it's arranged on a 12 by 12 inch mat. One of the things you definitely want to do is pay attention to the width and height of the area that you're going to be cutting. You won't see this later in the steps that are going to follow. So we need to make sure that we have at least 8 inches by 9 inches. So 8 wide, 9 tall of the fabric that we're going to be cutting. I will absolutely forget this, so I'm going to personally write it down right meow. Now, over here on the left, you're going to set it on the mat, and you're going to do 12 inch by 12 inch, and you're going to click Continue. At the very top, I'm going to select the maker. So I have the maker 3. And then you're going to select your material that you're cutting. You can click here to browse all of the materials, and you're going to see that there is a lot. This thing can cut everything. And here's all the different types of fabrics that you can cut, and I love it. The thing that I don't love is that it doesn't really have like a faux leather. If you look down here at the faux leather, it says paper thin. This faux leather that they are talking about is actually the kind that they sell in the shops that is labeled Cricut, and it is, I mean, when they say paper thin, I mean, it has like this very light felt backing to it. This is not what you want. You also don't want faux suede. For some reason it's listed twice. That's creepy. But what will work is the heavy fabrics. I'll actually scroll down to it. I mean, it's alphabetical, but you don't want bonded. You want heavy fabrics like denim. That's what you want. Everything else is gonna suck for you. Also, don't really want leather, because leather in this system, they want you to cut it with a knife. So, which is a little more accurate. With the fabrics though, you want a rotary blade. So leather is going to be a natural material. If you are cutting leather, select leather. Select whatever the correct fabric it is for you. The reason I'm covering this is because marine vinyl and vinyl aren't listed correctly. Neither is the faux leather. And so it'll lead you to use the wrong tools, and it won't use the correct pressure or anything like that. But the reason that you have to use a rotary blade tool with this is because it is a fabric, and if you use a knife, it might get caught on some of the weaves and the threads and pull it instead of slicing it. And then it'll yank everything off of your cutting mat. So we selected the heavy fabrics like denim. We're gonna use default pressure. If you want, you can use more or less pressure depending. I have already done this with default and it worked fine for me. Another option is just to do a second cut. With your actual physical device, your Cricut, you're going to leave clamp A empty. You're gonna load the rotary blade in clamp B. Or of course, if you're using another material, just follow directions here and what it tells you, and then you're gonna load the mat. So let's pop over to the cutting table and I can show you that process step by step. So if you recall, I told you to be very careful in remembering what the measurements were for the fabric that you need to cut out. So that's what I've done, is I remembered, because I'm awesome and I totally didn't need to write it down, 8 inches by 9 inches. So I'm gonna take the vinyl that I have, and this is a custom printed vinyl, so it's not a marine vinyl, but you know, float your boat and all that. And you don't have to be super exact. That's why I kind of went over. I definitely don't mind going over a little bit to ensure it's going to fit on the mat correctly. So we need to go 8 over and 9 up. So I'm just gonna come over here. I'm gonna try to minimize the amount of waste as much as possible. But again, there's only so much accuracy we can give this. It's fine to go, I would rather spill over than under, honestly. So, and I'm just gonna, you know, go along these lines here and just mark, like, you know, roughly what I need. Don't need to be accurate. That's what the cutter is for. The irony is I am measuring and cutting when I didn't want to. Ha 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 ha. Darn. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use my handy dandy rotary cutter to get this section cut out. And again, see, I'm not being totally accurate here. It's fine. Whee! Ow, my elbow. There we go. And we've cleaned that up. Now I'm gonna get rid of the vinyl. Just move that off to the side. And I'm gonna grab my mat. Now, one thing is I have not actually received my fabric grip mats yet from Amazon. Thanks, Amazon. So I am using a standard grip mat. That's fine. It's just not as sticky. So it might peel up on the edges if you do that. I leave the protective film on it, by the way. So that, because I have cats and cat hair gets literally everywhere. Oh crud, which one was this? Which side was the 8? Darn it. Okay, 9 wide, 8 tall. Okay, cool, cool, got it. Cool, 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 cool. Wait, was that right? Was it 8 wide? Oh God. No, it was 9 wide, feet tall. God, I'm such a professional. I think I did 9 by 9 anyway on accident. I did. Ha ha! Go me! I'm so good at measuring. Whatever, it's fine. We're gonna keep going. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna place it down. And I actually like to go over the cut line at the top. That's also why I do a little bit of extra and then just kind of pat it down where it should go. Actually, I'm gonna peel that up because we're not exactly over. And now I'm being anal retentive. So I cut extra, so now I can be. Isn't that great? It just worked out so well for me. Ha 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 ha. Now, one thing is that you can see it does curl up on the edges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some washi tape. And I do have painter's tape on the way. I would much rather use painter's tape than my washi tape. But I'm just going to tape it down on the edges so that it doesn't peel up on me while it's being cut. And this is, I'm placing this outside so that it doesn't, and in like what I would consider to be my margin, like that, so it doesn't end up being cut. But this is thin enough, this particular washi tape is thin enough that if it does end up cutting into it, it's not going to hurt anything else. But this also secures it. Again, if you have a fabric grip mat, you probably don't need to do this. All right, so now we're going to load this in. And I find it helps to kind of curve it a bit. And I just give it a little bit of support. I'm not pushing it through. I let the machine guide it. Make sure nothing is behind it. Oh, you didn't see me wave my hand, but make sure on the other side of this, nothing is behind it. And let it load. You see, I didn't push it. I let it do its thing. Dun, 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 dun. So exciting, isn't it? I love it. I'm just going to let this happen in real time so you can actually get an idea for how quick this is. Okay, the play button's going to go ahead and light up for you. It's over this way, slightly off camera. You're just going to press it once it starts flashing, and the machine's going to think about it for a bit, contemplate its life choices, and eventually start the cut. Just gonna let it do its thing. I'll talk to you in the sultry voice while it's doing its thing so that you don't feel #abandoned by the person making the video. Do your magic. Do it. Go. Do. Go, 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 go. Good Lord. There we go. It's doing those cuts. That's so awesome. I don't have to do this. See, I actually hate cutting. That's the one thing I hate, cutting, and I hate interfacing. Interfacing's not as bad now that I have a proper heat press, which I had to cave and purchase, but I used to absolutely despise, loathe having to do anything with interfacing. So it's moving on to the second piece now. This will be the top. And also the fun thing is the way that I arranged them, it is very close to being a fussy cut, which is kind of cool. Of course, it's a space design and a zipper is going to be in the middle of them, so it probably won't matter too much for these pieces. And here we go around the corner to finish off the cut. And it wins! Oh, yay! Done! And then the unload button will flash, and you can take it right off of there. So there we have it. I'm going to go ahead and just gently peel away the washi tape. And you can see from the bottom here, it actually did cut through the washi tape, which is a-okay. That's not going to be a problem here. As long as I can peel it. The washi tape! I'm going to peel it off. Oh my goodness. This is why I suggest go ahead and get like painter's tape. I don't like to wait. Washi tape is so expensive in normal situations. It's like, don't waste washi tape on this, okay? This was for an emergency so I could show you on the video what to do, because washi tape isn't gonna peel up as easily as masking tape or painter's tape. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, why are you embarrassing me like this, washi tape? Okay, and we'll peel up more of it. And this is the part of the video where I'm just gonna speed it up. La la la, mistakes were made, mistakes were made. All right, now that I've spent 2 years of my life doing that, I'm gonna just pull up Oh, so satisfying. Oh yeah. Look at that. Let's see, this excess over here is because I'm an idiot and I cut it incorrectly, but that's why I said write down details. I'll be the first person to do that, to like mess it up. But you can see if you're not like me, you'll have minimal waste in materials, which is freaking awesome. And then we can just pull off our pattern pieces, and they are ready to turn into a glorious pocket. And that's it. And I know that seemed really long, but it does actually save you time eventually. If you need to cut several of these out, you can arrange them out and do several top pieces, several bottom pieces, and it helps you with production sewing. Yay! So that's it. Now we have the top and the bottom pattern pieces cut out in vinyl. I didn't have to really do much of anything except spend 2 years of my life ripping up washi tape. Make sure to get painter's tape. But that just shows you how to do the thing. And I hope that this helped you a lot. Please feel free to like and subscribe, comment below on other things you would like to see me do with the Cricut in the future, because I really am just like all in on, like Flynn, on getting my pattern pieces cut out in one go. So anywho, I will say, like, going forward, the other thing you can do is the Cricut, at least, you can purchase 24-inch long mats, which will give you a lot more room to work with if you have the space to do it. So for me, if I needed to do that, I'd have to hide everything off camera on this side. So hence the reason I stuck with the 12 by 12 inch. But it's entirely possible for you to pick up these things at your local craft store and get going. Thank you.